This episode of Soul Knowledge explores the Nike Shox innovation. We understand a little bit more about the legacy, how it came about, and we start to enjoy and unpeel some of the unseen layers of this unique story. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Soul Knowledge, the home of the sneaker story and the home of sports culture insights. I'm your host, Bernie Wickham, and I am the sneaker evangelist. As a reminder for many of you who are new to the channel, check out at the end of every single episode, I reveal a fraction of a shoe for just 1 second, and it's up for you to try to identify that shoe. It's called One Sneaker in 1 second. Let's see that you can catch it this week. There are many moments within the context of sneaker history that really stays with me and really resonates with me. The Shox story is exactly one of those. Now, when I was up and coming as a kid in the sneaker game, I was trained at Nike through these sessions called Ekin training sessions by a person who had the job title at Nike of an Ekin. They were called an Ekin, spelled E-K-I-N, because it's the word Nike spelt backwards. These are people who had to know their product backwards. And I had always aspired to try to get this job, to be a part of this job. And I love attending these Ekin sessions. And upon many of the Ekin sessions that I loved and enjoy, one of which was where the Ekin revealed Nike Shox technology to us. We had not seen it in any form of marketing. It had never been seen before. But as we were invited to this place, the product was covered in sheets and one by one they were revealed. What I'm about to share with you is that exact revelation and how it hit me, and understanding what footwear looked like in the early 2000s. This was phenomenal. This was groundbreaking. So let me walk you through it. This is the Nike Shox story. Shox technology was actually invented in the mid-80s. These are a couple of prototype images of what it looked like. So this is not an idea that has come about in just the short term. Nike had worked on this for a long period of time. There's an underlying narrative that spoke about the Nike running out of the patent for Nike Air, because the Air patent only lasts for 20 years. And there's a narrative that suggested that Nike was worried about, after Air could be used by any other brand, what would be the technology that would overtake? And this kind of also put a bit of pressure on Nike to launch this Shox technology. That cannot be confirmed, nor can it be denied, but it's an interesting insight into what pushes the brand to go to market with some products. When Nike had initially gone to market with the Shox, they started with the pinnacle of the brand, because Nike is a running brand, its DNA is in running. So the first out of the three that they launched was this guy over here. This is called the R4. Now the name is called the R4 because the R stands for running, and because it had 4 shock units in the rear end, it was referred to as the R4. This was the pinnacle of running at that point in time. Understanding what the technology of Shox meant was not exactly a shock absorber, but it was a form of energy return. In other words, as I strike the ground, it actually pushes me and propels me forward into the next my next stride or my next dunk. So the tagline for Shox was boing. That's how the R4 landed the introduction to the product line. I must say, South Africa, and I don't know the whys behind this, but South Africa had this launch before the United Kingdom. I remember when I owned this pair, there were people from the UK that knew the Nike brand that came to see me, and they were like, how is it that you've got it before the rest of us? It's still on billboards in the UK, but you've got it on your feet. I don't know how that worked out, but I was a don back in the day with my R4s. And also just shout out to the community. This was given by my man, he's 23. I actually asked the Soul Knowledge community who had the shoe. They reached out to me, and that's how I managed to access this. So thank you so much. The second one to hit is called the BB4. Now you can start guessing what's happening over here. The name BB4 because it was a basketball shoe with 4 shock absorbers in the back, 4 shocks, is the one I actually wish I had. I slept on it. I never owned a single pair of BB4s, but this is the original colorway. By the way, everything that I'm pulling out is all the original launch colorway product. The BB4, and this is important, all of these guys over here has the 5 dots for the Alpha Project. Remember the Soul Knowledge episode of the Alpha Project where I spoke about the innovation behind it. And just to recap each dot: inquire, research, create, test, and compete. That's the 5 steps in the Alpha Project: inquire, research, create, test, and compete. This is Alpha Project, the R4 Alpha Project. In understanding the context, this over here is been introduced to the world by Vince Carter. Vince Carter rocked this in the beginning, and where he did that amazing dunk. I'm gonna include the video so you can see that dunk. And people, the guy that he dunks over is a giant within his own right, but Vince does the dunk over him, and people were like, is it the shoes? This shoe and that dunk is what came together in a perfect moment in time that solidified the authenticity of this product. And this was also given to Soul Knowledge by my boy Fluffy Brown. Appreciate you coming through, still in dead stock condition, exactly for the episode. Appreciate the love, Fluffy Brown. Follow this cat. If the first one was called the R4 because of running, the second one was the basketball 4, BB4 rather, because of basketball. This is the cross-training version of the Shox, and the third to be released. Answer the question before I give it to you. What do you think the shoe is called? This is the Shox XT4. Now you understand. R4, BB4, XT4. Also in its original colorway. Not only is this an original colorway, this shoe was never ever reissued. You are looking at the original version of this product. What a beauty. And this is my boy Jigs that came through to me for this one over here. So the full collection, all in the original colors, brought to you by the Soul Knowledge community. And it is just such a privilege to just relive that moment of nostalgia that I just loved to just get into. So thank you for spending the time. Beautiful Scotch-Light detailing. This is a story that I wanted to have seen with such beauty. And I'm glad it was summarized and that you too could take a look at.